All right. So what I am going to show you today is how to document those observations and conversations in a digital way. And I'm going to do it using only green tools because I think that's important. When, I'm sorry I'm about to curse at you, EDSB is rolled out, like district-wide. Don't shake your head. It's getting better. It is getting better. I'm okay with EDSB. We spoke earlier about what's wrong with taking a picture. There's a tool in EDSB called the Evidence of Learning and the Capture tool that does that and will create portfolios for kids. It's really rich. Pilot schools in elementary are using it. And by the time it gets to us, it'll probably be kinked out, which is awesome. So, yay. In the meantime, we can use this. This is the way that we can work. The workflow looks like this. We are going to create, we meaning me now and you eventually, a whole bunch of Google documents, one for each of your students. Now that sounds pretty terrible because you have 90 students. I don't want to create 90 documents. Fret not, my friends. There are two ways that you can do this. One is called AutoCRAD. It's a 9-step program and it's very daunting and I didn't like it. So last year I decided I work a lot with Google tools and I should really learn the programming behind it. I'm an English teacher. I can handle this. And so I went and I learned how to write Google Apps scripts and I've written a script that goes on the back of a sheet. A script is just like something to make it work. And what it will do is as soon as you import your roster, which you can download from Teach Assist, you will push a button and it will create all those blank documents for each of your kids. Okay? Because I didn't want it to take 40 minutes of your time. Because if it took 40 minutes of your time, you wouldn't do it. So that's why I've created this. Then from that, we are going to create a Google form. And the form is going to be how you will track whatever it is you are wanting to track. The example I like to give for our purposes today, even though it's sort of not totally on cue with what we're doing, is learning skills, because we all have to track learning skills, and it's one of those things, like it's been brought up, well, how do you know that I only have a good? Why do I have a satisfactory? Where is your evidence? And I don't think we get pushed back in learning skills a lot, but it is something maybe we don't document as much. One thing I want to tell you is when you have those single documents, docAppender is the name of the add-on. It will link your form to your docs. So every time you fill out that form, I will go and I'll be like, oh, okay, here's, Rosie's document. I fill out the form. If I've checked Rosie's name, all the information that I filled out will automatically populate to that Google Doc. The next time I do it, it will auto-populate to that same doc again underneath. So you will have a running record of all of the observations and conversations. Now, let's say you want it not only for learning skills, you also want it for your hairstyling stuff, right? Or for co-op. I can associate multiple forms with the same doc, including a student assessment form. So you can create something for students, or a form for students to self-assess, and that can also go in. Just make sure you indicate somewhere in your form this is a self-assessment. So if you were to pull out that doc with the stakeholders, parents, special ed teachers, ELL resource teachers, administrators, whomever it had, the student themselves, you will be able to see clearly everything that has been documented. So when Dana talked earlier today about I show it to them at all times, there is a way that you can actually make this automatically share so the student will have view-only access anytime, any place. So not just when they're in your classroom, but at home when they're showing their parents, no, I'm doing well in English now, look. And they can see it. Okay? Everyone good? Basically, we're going to circumvent the sheet because Google Sheets are scary if you don't like spreadsheets. Like, I'm a spreadsheet nerd, so I'm okay with Google Sheet. All right, so here we go. The first thing that you want to do here is pick which version of the script that I wrote you want to use. And it says here, so what do you have? In our case, if you're extracting from Teach Assist, you're likely going to pick D, E, or F because the columns that come out, and I purposely built it so it mirrored Teach Assist. The column that you have is student number, then the student's first name, their last name, and their email address. Okay. For the sake of argument today, I'm going to say that I want to give them view-only access by student. Okay. I want the students to see it. I would love to try to figure out, and it's on my list of many things to do, how to give them comment access, because that's what I'd like them to have. So if they challenge me, like, well, what do you mean you didn't see this? I did that. That could be there, but I don't want them to be able to edit it. So I'm working on that. One day it might show up there. So if that's what I'm going to use, I'm going to go to this link that says template. I am going to click it, and it is going to open a forced copied document. Now, have you ever seen a forced copy like this? It's not that white sheet, right? That white page that says, do you want to make a copy? And you're saying, I don't know if I want to make a copy because I have no idea what it is, right? This is, it's the way that you do this. Instead of writing copy at the end of the link, you do template preview, /template/preview, and it shows you what it looks like. And says, do you want to use it? And you say yes. And you're going to click the use template button. Okie dokie. And then we're going to sit and we're going to wait. This is when I say the BIPSA aligns, like this is our mental wellness aligning with our enhanced by technology and the modern learning frame. This is a time for you to be mindful, say hello to your neighbor, take a deep breath, and not throw your computer through the window. Okay, and we're back. So what I would do in this is I would go to Teach Assist. So I'll go to, I can't do Teach Assist, sorry. I learned this year that after a few years, all your Teach Assist data disappears. So when I went in to do this, I don't have any students that I can extract. If you were going to do that, I will just jump into Teach Assist. Oh, no, you're not going to do it for me. Teach Assist, here we go. You could dance. Who invented King Arthur's Round Table? Circumference. Follow them, Alana. All right. So if I did have classes, I'm going to see if I can go back and see my classes, but I'm pretty sure they took them all out. Go back one? Yeah, they're gone. Normally you would have your class here, and along the top, one of your options on that main landing page is download CSV. CSV meaning comma separated values. It's a fancy way of saying spreadsheet. That's what you want to do, and it would open up an Excel sheet. Okay, sorry, I'm using Microsoft Words with you. I know that's rude. An Excel sheet that you could then copy and paste into your Google sheet, and it needs to be in a Google sheet because that's where the program runs.
Just to confirm, you have all these steps written for us to do.
100% with screenshots. Yes, yes, and you know where I live. You can come to my house. Okay. So let's say this is a student number. The first name is Jen. The last name is Giffen. And the email is jennifer.giffen@gaps.yrdsb.ca. Beautiful. Rosie, can I use you as well? Just because I know how to spell your name. But you're under Rosie on board email too? Okay. MACOR. Do you want to see a fun trick? Equals concatenate. That, comma, dot, comma, that, comma, at gaps.yrdsb.ca. But I don't want to, everyone's like, what are you doing? But look, it automatically created her, I put an extra. And now if I actually took those and went down, oh, look, everyone's there. So if I went like Chevs, Cheversi, it would add that. And if I put her first name, I'm just going to put Lil for now. It adds a 4. Anyway, that's a fun formula. You don't need to know that. It's not important. Okay. It's just me showing off, everybody. A round of applause for Jen Giffen. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, I'm here all week. Tip your waiters. Okay, so the next thing I would do on this is follow these instructions in the yellow box. I'm going to go to add-ons, and I'm looking for an add-on called Name Those Docs Ease. And you might be like, but I didn't install an add-on. If you're familiar with add-ons, you didn't. You're right. It's the script that is in the back. That's where you copied the template. So you go to add-ons, and you should see, I have a problem. I need a 12-step program in a basement of a church, okay? I know I'm addicted to extension, or to add-ons. But at the bottom there, you should see one that says Name Those Docs E. If it is not there, you've been too quick on the draw. Refresh your page or just wait for a minute, because it will get there. It needs time to sort of load in the back end. Click Start. And it's going to say this, we need to authorize. And you're going to say, okay, I'm going to continue. And then you're going to choose your account. And it's going to say, are you going to allow it to do all this? Are you sure you want to allow it to do all this? All this says is what the actual script is going to do. I will have zero access. No one will have access to your data. Sometimes this comes up and people get nervous. I assure you this is 100% legit, above board. Student privacy is in full tact. So I'm going to click Allow. And the sidebar will pop up that says, hey, this is Name Those Docs. So type or copy and paste your roster into these columns and then press this button. Now I want you to watch what happens when I press this button. Up here, in this cell, these cells here, and this is going to disappear, don't panic. And there's going to be a whole bunch of columns, maybe 4 columns, I think, that are created. Here we go. Ready? Oh, sorry. I'm a liar. It's going to say, we're going to make a folder, and it's going to put that folder into your drive. So I'm going to call this erase documentation. And I'm going to call it erase just so I remember later to erase it. So I'm not like, documentation about what? That's just for me. You'll probably name it after your class. Okay? Stop me if there's questions and slow me down if you're confused. Now it says, what text do you want to appear after the name of this document? All the documents are going to be entitled last name, comma, first name of the student, like in those columns. Now, if I share it with you and it says Maycor Rosie, you should be like, I don't know what this is. So you might want to include something in here, but what it is. So I'm going to say space, notice I put the space, otherwise it'll be right there, and I'm kind of A-type, so I need that little space there. Space dash, learning skills, English. Okay. Period 3. Now I'm going to say okay. And now the magic happens. So what's happened is first it's created a folder in my Google Drive called Erase Documentation, and it's created a blank document automatically named after whoever was in my roster in those 2 columns. So far, so good? So instead of make a copy, rename, make a copy, rename, make a copy, rename, it expedites that process. Okay, next. April, please, if I'm doing anything wrong, stop me. April and I have done this at Richmond Green, and she can talk to it later on how she's been using it. The other thing you'll notice is there's actually, if you ever just like, oh, where are those documents? You can't find them. You can always come back to this spreadsheet, because not only is that folder linked, the actual documents for each student are linked as well if you want one-stop shopping, if that's the way your workflow works. All right, so now we have created the spreadsheet. All the screenshots are here. We've gone through, we've authorized, we've said it's fine. If you get this screen, we didn't get it, but if you get this screen saying this app isn't verified, it just means I haven't paid the money to write up a terms of service and get a lawyer to okay the extension. It's just not approved by Google, because I didn't create this for Google. I created this for teachers. So you don't go to back to safety, otherwise you'll lose it. Go to advanced. And you'll get saying, hey, it's not, are you sure you want to go? We don't know who this developer is. And you can say, I know her, it's okay. And you're going to click go to the docs and click that one. Okay. So going on, we pushed that, we named them. This explains in here what each of those links mean. And now we will move on to creating a form. So in my folder here, I like to put everything in the same folder. Your workflow might be different. Okay, put them wherever you want that you're going to find. I'm going to go to New, I'm going to go to More, and I'm going to go to Google Forms. I could have also just gone to forms.google.com. That would have worked. So now I have a form. My form is going to be called Learning Skills English. Actually, I'm not even going to write that, because I might use the same form again and again and again, right? I can make a copy of the form, but I'll just put this. So Learning Skills. The first question I'm going to enter is name. And I want this to be a checkbox. Now, this is important with docAppender, which is what's going to link the form to the docs. It needs to be multiple choice, checkbox, or dropdown. Those are the only 3 options that work with this add-on. I choose checkbox because I'm often observing groups. And I don't want to put it in 5 times, 1 for each group member. If I put 5 ticks, it's going to go to each individual's 5 documents at the same time. So I've hit 5 kids and entered into their doc in one shot. So I always use that. You can use drop down. It's not nice for real estate. It means you have to really scroll through, but you know, it makes it saves time for me. I'd rather scroll a little bit than redo the form again and again. So I choose checkbox, and now I'm going to make sure it's required, because there's nothing worse than not making it required, putting all your data in, and then realizing I forgot to select a kid. And you can't go back. It can't be like, oh, I entered it. Can I just like click something to say, hey, go to that doc? No, you'd have to enter it all again. Not a huge deal. It's cut and paste, but we don't want to do that. I'm going to leave the names blank, even though you know your kids' names. The magic of docAppender needs to put those names in. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write, okay, what learning skills am I observing? Again, I'm going to make this required. And again, I think I'll make this a checkbox because sometimes it might be more than one. Right? The problem with this is in my you'll see how it's created. It will list them all, so they won't be separated for you. It might mean that you have to do some digging. So you'll be like, okay, well, that was good for this, but not good for this, and whatever. You make the form work for you. The other thing I always suggest, sorry, I should go back one step, is in this part, make a copy of one of your kids while it's still blank. And it's going to be called copy of. Rename it. And just call it Tester. Or my favorite student, Testy McTesterson. Okay? Because then if you want to mess around and see how it looks, you're not messing with the kid's data. You have a place to play. You can playground, you can sandbox in there. All right, back to my form. I'm going to put my learning skills. And my learning skills are responsibility. I'm going to miss one because I always do. And it's always a different one. Collaboration. Works independently. Thank you. Initiative. Which one did I miss, friends? Yes, the one. Organization. Thank you. Organization. Okay, there they are. And now I'm going to add another one that simply says comments and observations. And I'm going to make this a paragraph answer. I want it to be long. Now, would this be the ideal form for conversations, observations, and all that? Probably not. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to show you the workflow, and you can make the form however you want to make it. You might make a beautiful form that you could then share with your colleagues. Right? To share a form, you just need to go to I call these Timbits. Little learning session here, my friends. Here we go. So when we talk about Google Tools, there's lots of things on a screen. So this here, anyone know what that's called? This guy up here? It's the Google App Grid. It's the waffle, let's be honest. It's not called an app grid. Who calls it that? Nobody. These here, this is the this is the file menu or the classroom main menu. Nope. Pancakes. Okay? See these three little dots? More actions? No. Carbs for breakfast is my theme. Timbits. Okay? Waffle, pancakes, Timbits. I guarantee you start using this in your class, your kids will always know where to click. It's incredible. All right, I have people in the States calling them Timbits. They're like, Timbits, I don't know what Timbit is, but that's what I'm going to call it. So I'm going to go to the Timbits, and I'm going to go to Add Collaborators, and once you're in there, they'll have the opportunity to then make a copy of a form if you've created a great one. Just make sure they make the copy, because if they don't make the copy, they will screw up your original. And there is no version history in forms. For the love of Google, create a version history in forms. I figure if I yell it loud enough and someone watches the video, you might be somewhere that someone will hear you. Okay, so we're good. Everything's fine. Next step, you need to make sure you have the docAppender add-on. If you see the puzzle piece, you're good to go. If you don't see the puzzle piece, go to the Timbits and go to add-ons there. It will not appear, the puzzle piece will not appear until you install your first add-on. I have it. I don't have quite as many on this one. Okay, and I'm going to choose docAppender. If you wanted to install it, you would go to Timbits, you would go to add-ons, it's going to open, and you're going to look for something called docAppender, and two P's in appender, and it looks like this. Beep. There we go. It's by New Visions for public schools. Now, some people at this point might be like, I'm going to allow permissions. Is this okay? We've actually spoken directly with the New Vision people and asked them where they store data, how it's stored, and it is, according to our IT department, 100% also above board, good to go, green tool. Please remember green tool, red tool. Red doesn't mean you can't use it. Red just means you need to seek permission. Green means that the safety and privacy of our students is secured in our own network, so we're good to go. We don't need any concerns around that. We don't need to look at how their data is used. That's all it means. Red does not mean no. I hate red. I wish it were yellow. Anyway, soapbox. And we're back. So you would have a green button here that says, a blue button that says free if you don't have this. If you already have it installed, yours will be green like mine and say manage. Okay. So now once you push that, all of a sudden it'll do like a little screen dance thing, and your add-on puzzle piece will appear. I'm going to press it. I'm going to go to docAppender. And it says, okay, what do you want to do? Use sidebar is what you care about. Get user key is if you're having problems and you reach out to New Visions, they'll say, oh, what's the user key? Because they're going to be able to go in and look at the script running and see where it's had an error. So don't worry about that one. And help is a good song by the Beatles. Okay. Open the sidebar. what's going to happen is you're going to have now this little sidebar appear. Sometimes it's finicky. If it's like, I can't click anywhere, what's going on? Refresh and just start it, like close it, refresh it, start it again. Because it's not a perfect script. And I would say 1 out of every 10 times it goes a little glitchy on me, just that once, and as soon as I refresh, it's fine. So the first step is to select the doc folder, meaning where is the folder with all those docs you created? Where do you want us to put all the information when you fill out this form? And you can either create a new one, but you don't need to because you've created one. So you're going to pick from Drive. They're going to be listed in reverse chronological order. And there it is, erase. Now watch what happens. If I double click, there's no items in this folder. And this is when you have a mild heart attack. And you say, where did all those go? I did it just like Jen said. They're looking for folders, not files. So when you click in here, it's saying, there's no folders in this folder. There's nothing more nested. You don't want to double click it. What you actually want to do is single click so it's blue. Don't double click, you've gone too far. And then you're going to click select. And it's going to say, okay, we're going to look for stuff. Great. It's there. That's the one I want. I'm going to hit, oh, you can't see it at the bottom of my screen. At the very bottom of my screen, is it at the bottom? Hold on 1 second. Or is it just my resolutions off? Okay, let me see if I can make this a little bit easier for you to see. There it is. At the bottom, I'm going to click next. My second option in here, let's go ahead a little bit. Come on, you can do it. Don't embarrass me, I'm presenting. Thank you. Okay, my second step is, okay, which question do you want us to populate? Meaning, where are you making the link? And this is what the documents are called. In our case, it's the student name. So the question is, you don't have any questions, what? This is silly. Every single button in docAppender is blue when you have to go to the next one, except this one. When you land here, you always have to push refresh list. And it should, this might be one, oh, there it is. It'll say name. And it will look for any drop down, multiple choice, or checkbox that you have listed. If you say learning skills, it's going to replace our responsibility organization. That's not with the students' names. That's not what you want. So you're going to select name. You are not going to check include all of the above option, because then every single question you have that's multiple choice or drop down or checkbox will replace with the students' names, and you'll have to go redo all of those questions. Do not. Only click name here. Then watch the magic. So remember the names here. Remember who are the 3 people in my folder? Jen, no, Rosie, and Tester, right? So watch what's going to happen when I hit save and populate. They automatically get pulled in. And on the back end, there's a script. A script is just like a program that runs to say, hey, if I select this, that question links with that document. That's what it does. How does it do it? Magic. Okay, or computer science. Now I'm going to hit next. And it says, okay, so every time you fill this out, what do you want to put on that document for the student? And I always select every single one except name. Any ideas why I wouldn't select name?
You have their name every single time you make a form.
No, but that's actually good. I never considered that. Their name is the name of the document. Yeah. Every time I have an entry, I don't need to say, okay, you know, here's Paula's paper. This observation is about Paula. Mm-hmm. Here's another, I know it's about Paula because it's the name of the document. So it's just redundant. It's for the sake of space. Now, if you have a really long form that has multiple things and you may only observe, let's say, half in each observation, this is the one thing I do not like about docAppender other than that silly blue button. It will take all of your headers in with it. So if you have blanks, you'll have a whole bit, like let's say you have 10 questions, you've only answered 5. It'll show all 10 with blanks beside the ones that you didn't answer because you didn't need to. And we've been pleading and saying, please make it better, and they haven't been listening. So what do you do? Then they ask you, how do you want it to look? And they give you 3 options. They say, come on. No, you're not going to play with me? There we go. They will say, do you want this to be separated bulleted list, separated vertical table, or rows? And you're like, I don't know, because I don't know what any of those look like. So what I did, because I was tired of trying to remember what they looked like, if you go back here and you scroll down a little bit, these are all the steps that we just went through. Remember, screenshot. This box here shows your choices. So if you want it to be rows in a separate horizontal table, it will look like this. So you'll have headers, and for every entry, it makes a nice table. Beautiful, right? That's my favorite. Until you have a form with more than 5 questions, because then what happens? All those rows get super skinny, and you'd have to go into each kid and adjust them. The way that I have it set up, it's not landscape, sorry, it's portrait. So that one is good for a short form, like the form that I'm doing right now. That might be a great way to do it, especially because then I could copy all of that into a spreadsheet and sort them by learning skill. But for longer forms, no good. Vertical tables is nice if you like to really see them separated, right? A types, you're gonna like that one. B types might be just okay with the bulleted list, right? Someone said to me, there's an A type, but no one really talks about being a B type. No B type's like, yeah, I'm a B type. Like, it doesn't happen. It's like we need to own it as A types. And between each set of bullets, or nuggets, if you will, because bullets are violent, so we're discouraged from using them. No one cares about the chickens. Did you get it? The chicken nuggets, get it? Between each bulleted list, there is a line, that gray line, that separates it, so it's easy visibly. If you choose to use this as a way of documentation, what I might offer to you as a suggestion is when you set it up for anything that you are putting in as a teacher, choose one of these formats, but if you also link in student assessment, choose a different one, so that visually when you look at it, you know if it's yours or the kids, quickly without having to scan for the word teacher or student. Okay, that would be my workflow, but I am super visual and I need to see things like that. Okay, now, the next thing you want to do is, okay, let's fill it out. Beautiful. So I'm going to go to my form. I'm going to say I'm going to do this I'm going to do the bulleted list. And I'm going to click enable, and I'm going to get that little starburst. And then it just sits there, and you're like, now what? This is the other thing I don't like about this add-on. You're done. Once that button is now sort of that light blue instead of the bright blue, you can close it off. I can go to my form. Here's my form. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Rosie's. I am going to do a side-by-side. This is a really great extension if you do, Chrome extension if you do side-by-side work. It's called Tab Resize. And I hit it, that little like arrows in the box. And I say, yeah, I want these two things side-by-side. And it will automatically split my screen for me so I can see them side-by-side, which I love. If you want to get them back, you just go to, there's another add-on called Tab Glue, and it just, you can do it. I'm going to do it. There you go. It glues them all back together. It's pretty easy. I like it because I do a lot of side-by-side work on the computer. If you don't, then that was just a waste of 30 seconds of your life. So here's what happens. I'm observing. So I say, okay, who am I doing today? I'm going to Rosie. I'm going to observe Rosie. I'm going to see her collaboration. And I'm going to say, Rosie worked well in our KB activity this morning. She listened to the voices of her peers. Okay, beautiful. And now I hit submit, right? Big deal. I hit submit. Normally we would have to go to the spreadsheet to find this, but with a little bit of time and patience, maybe another dad joke.
You know women love dad jokes, right?
I know. Dad
Otherwise
jokes.
they can call bachelor jokes.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to use it. Come on, you can do it. I'm going to refresh. I shouldn't have to refresh, but I'm impatient. It's going to come, I promise. It's just Wi-Fi. If I want to make sure it's gone, just to let you know, I can come over here. I can see, oh yeah, it's in there. I could open the sheet, but I'm not going to. Come on, Rosies. I'm not good at patience. Anyway, maybe while we wait for this to load and I go on to the next part, April, do you want to speak to how you've been using it in geography?
Yeah, so I was speaking with a few people this morning. I do tutorials with the grade 12 world issues. And so for conversations and observations, this is the summative assessment that I couldn't figure out, because I didn't like writing it all. I didn't have time. And so I was frustrated. So I called Jen and told her what I needed. I needed a way to quickly get the information that I was seeing and hearing and share it back with the students because we have like 15 tutorials a semester. and two running simultaneously. So she set all this up for me, and I've been using it, and even better than my computer on an app on my phone.
That's where I'm going next. Yes. Go.
So it's really exciting, and basically I have my phone, and while the two tutorials are going on, I'm going in between them, and literally I just, like she said, I'm checking on the student, I'm, making comments. It even has a microphone, so I can talk into it if I want, like after, like a doctor, and it'll just type what I say, and then I submit, send it to the student, and they love it. So it's been it works really well.
Good.
I really enjoy it.
Thanks. Yeah, if you're on an iPhone or an iPad, if you have one in your classroom, send yourself the link. Make sure it's the link that says view form at the end, not edit. Because view form is the one you can fill out, edit's the one that you can edit the form. And then you will open it in Safari. It has to be on an iPhone, it has to be in Safari, because that's the only way you can add an icon. And then you're gonna click this little guy here. See that little arrow? It's called the share arrow, or if you're lazy and need to save like a millisecond of your life, the share arrow. And you then hit the share arrow, and one of the options along the bottom, you may have used the share arrow before to like send pictures to a friend on like a text or something like that. You may not have noticed the ones or paid attention to the ones below. One of them is add to home screen, and it actually creates what looks like an app, but it's just a shortcut to a website. You can do this with any website, by the way. So if you have a website you visit often, like last year my kid's bus was always late, so I just put the late buses on, so I just had to click it instead of navigating to. It will create an icon that looks like the Google Forms logo, and every time you want to go in, you're going to click, click, click. Now, sometimes you're going to click that icon, and it's going to say, you need permission to access this, right? This happens. Why? You're like, I don't need permission. I own it. It is mine. And you start screaming at your phone, and people want to commit you. We don't want that. So make sure when you do create your form here, one thing you want to make sure is go to settings, and unclick this restrict to users in the wire DSP. Because then it won't matter if you're logged into your GAPS account, you'll be able to just access it at all times. And unless you share that link to this form, which is like this whole huge thing here, no, not that one, sorry. This whole huge thing up here, docs/forms, DE1FA, or L, who knows, PQL, right? Unless you share that, no one will be able to mess with your data in any way. Okay, we're gonna go back and see if Rosie's did. It didn't. Okay, I'm gonna try it one more time and try to figure out. This is I actually don't mind when this happens, because this might happen to you. And if I can walk you through, because we do actually have some time, which is nice, how I would troubleshoot this, hopefully it will solve it for you, right? So a lot of people, when they get up, like in front of kids, right? When we have those moments, you're like, oh gosh, the tech isn't working, what am I doing? We panic because it doesn't look perfect. It's taken me a while, but I've come to really value those times and times like these, so I can be like, okay, I'm going to troubleshoot so that if my students, or if, in my case, my adult learners here, have this problem, they can see some of the things that I go through to problem solve it with skills that may be different from the skill set that you have with technology. All right, so again, I'm going to go to Rosie. I'm going to go to her comments. I'm going to say, please work this time. It's a really good comment. And then I'm going to hit submit. And still not there. Okay, I'm going to go in through this way then. So if we go here, I'm going to close it off, open it again. Sometimes closing and opening can help. It didn't. Okay, I'm going to run docAppender a second time on this form to make sure what we did was okay. I'm going to erase all the names. Because I want to start from scratch. I'm going to run docAppender. I'm going to use sidebar. April, did you notice anything last time that I missed? Okay.
I think it might be Wi-Fi too.
Yeah, it very well could be. So, oh, and by the way, Rosie should at this point probably have. You've had an email that's been shared with you. They do not get notification every time you put something on that form. The onus is on them to go in and check it regularly. That was my second goal with writing app scripts, and that one was super hard, so I quit. Temporarily, we'll say. I put it on hold. So yeah, I want it to be this erase documentation. I want to take names, so if I populate the names, we should get them, we're good. I'm going to still take those. I'm going to do bulleted list. I'm going to save my changes. By the way, if you have a student added to your class at any point, you know how that happens to us? It's like, there's 3 weeks left in school. Here's a new kid. It's like, thanks. You can very easily add the student in just by creating a blank document for them in that same folder and going through this process. And if you hit populate list, that new kid, as soon as they see that there's a new document in that folder, will be added. Okay, follow? Good. Okay, so we're good, apparently. Close this one. Again, I'm going to try tester. Maybe it just doesn't like Rosie. This is try number 3. Hit submit. It's gone in. I can tell that it's gone in because I have my data here, right? Your questions are here. If you guys aren't familiar with forms, on the response tab, it shows you all of the responses that have come in. Let's go to tester. I have a feeling it's Wi-Fi. Oh, there it is. Yay, let's try Rosie's. Come on. Doesn't like Rosie. I wonder, because I had someone reach out to me on Twitter once, because I tweeted this out, if it doesn't like the dash. Someone said I did it, and then they said, oh, I renamed them and it worked. It's possible. Okay, so I'm going to try this again. I'm going to set this up. I'm going to erase my names. I'm going to run docAppender. Next. Save and populate. Next. Save. Oops. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Paula. Rosie, responsibility. Maybe this time. Rosie. Weird. I think there's something in the nomenclature. Oh. No, maybe. No, commas have never posed a problem before. Because that's how oh my gosh, if it's the comma, it's going to be the worst because that's how it automatically names them, right? The file. So that will be a major, the PETA factor on that is high. The PETA factor, get it? That's my dad. Thanks, D-Bell. Okay. It's not going. Weird. Okay. We know that tester works, which is good. So if you had to create those single documents, it can be done. There is a fast way it's a program called Autocrat, but it's just, there's more steps to it, which is why I like that on. I'm going to work through a bit of lunch and solve this problem and then put it in here. But we have about 20 minutes. So I'm hoping that maybe like one computer at a table could try to like play with this a little bit at this point.
Can I just bring up something?
Please.
So we're going to share the website with you as a link again in the email at the end.